everybody, and welcome to the newest indoor adventure in Ghosts of Saltmarsh. Last week, we completed Chapter 1, so now we are going to be going into the dangers of Dunwater. So, I hope that you guys are excited as I am to get into this. But before we begin, today is June 20th, 2019, and you are loved. And because it is Pride Month, I want to let everybody know who is celebrating Pride Month that you are making the right choices. You are making the best choices that you possibly can, and that's awesome. Keep doing the best that you can, or at least trying to do the best that you can, because that's all that we can ask of you, because we are just streamers online. So believe us if you want, but I really am proud of you guys. Other things to remember, we stream Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 5:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time here at twitch.tv/indooradventures. So if you are just checking in on this now and stick around, enjoy the game, possibly go to youtube.com/indooradventures or anywhere that you can find audio casts, also under Indoor Adventures, and consider checking us out there, because that's where all of the VODs go for the 4 shows that we run every week. Other than that, we do have a small bit of announcements, which is, guys, I almost spilled this beautiful mug of water all over my desk, but I didn't, because it was wide enough at the 15 ounces that the Bigger Battler mug provides to not spill over. Also, you want to know what really works up my thirst is going to the Goreblast and Stompfoot Gymnasium, where I can work on getting my tiny rage on for these itty bitty muscles. But that's fine too. We got tank tops, we got sweatshirts. I'm gonna work to get some pants. And I also saw that Streamlabs offers new merch now. So I'm gonna be playing around figuring out what other stuff we can slap our logo and images onto for you guys. We also got posters. Other than that, if you like what you see and would like to support the show, not just through merch, or if the merch is too expensive, which I totally get, we have a Patreon set up, so you can go to patreon.com/indooradventures and help support us there, or you can go and support us on here on Twitch. Doing either of those things gets you access to our Discord server, and Discord is open for everybody. So at any point during the show, you can use the command !Discord, and then you will get a link to the channel where you can hang out with all of us and do all sorts of other fun stuff. Other than that, I think that's it for me. So, guys, who are we playing tonight? We'll start with you, Dingo.
Oh, I'm Dingo. I use she, her, and I am playing Hish Sungard, the half-orc fighter. Normal dude, TM, uses he, him pronouns.
All right. And Ulman, Kiana, who you playing?
I don't know this Kiana you speak of. I'm Omen Dark, a beautiful man, large, muscular, everything you want in a hero, and I'm playing Keanu, an IT specialist. We both use he, him.
All right, and Cyber, who are you playing tonight?
Hello, I'm Cyber. I play Albus, the Kalashtar bard. Little fishy, but it's all right. And we use he, him.
All right, and KyleWithAnN, who are you playing tonight?
What's up, everybody? I'm KyleWithAnN. I play Jilfa'en. She is a half-elf cleric. We both use she, her.
And I am the indoor adventurer, he, him, and tonight I shall be your dungeon master. So, last we left off, you guys managed to successfully infiltrate the Sea Ghost, a smuggling ship located off of the southern shores of Saltmarsh, about 4 miles from the actual town proper. Upon infiltrating the ship, Ulman, pretending to be a deteriorating Sahuagin, who is a Umberlite, posed to all of the members of the ship that they either needed to pay the toll or jump into the ocean and get the fuck off their boat. At that point, the rest of the party came up onto the deck with their sea elf companion, Oceanus, where, again, you guys cleared the boat off of all of the smugglers that were there. You ended up finding 3 lizard men that were in a cabin who had managed to actually sleep through the combat that you guys were a part of, even amongst all of the shouting. And after removing them as well, you found yourself a new companion, a small red pseudo-dragon named Bims, who had taken a liking to Ulman Dark. You guys then explored the rest of the Sea Ghost, and upon reconvening after discovering a good 80 casks of spirits, decided that you were going to name this new ship of yours Oliver's Triumph. And that is where we left off last week. Or Oliver's Victory. Sorry. That was the name of it.
No. I like Triumph better.
Okay. Oliver's Triumph. You're the captain, so whatever name you would like, or at least you're posing as captain.
Hish is in the middle of painting the name, and it's just like, no.
You spell victory with a T, right?
You spell it T-R, yeah.
All right, so you guys still have about 30 minutes left until you reach the dock. Is there anything that you guys wanted to talk about or cover while you were still on the ship?
I don't think so. Not for Hish anyway.
yeah, sure, I'll talk to someone.
Jill, our keeper of secrets.
I think I'll go talk to Ulman first, actually. Where would I find him?
I think last we left, I was like on the deck of the ship because I just picked the boxes open.
Okay. Yeah, so Jill will make her way over to Ulman and just be like, Ulman, are you all right after our last encounter? You seemed as though you had taken quite a beating.
Well, with your healing and that nice leg of ham, I'm actually feeling pretty all right.
Okay, well, that's good news. I couldn't help but notice something while we were battling.
Yeah?
One of those lizard folks took a real nasty chunk out of your shoulder.
Yeah, hurt a lot, actually.
But I just noticed something a little strange is all. So I wanted to make sure you're all right. You're not like poisoned or anything.
Not as far as I'm aware. I feel fine.
Can I just make like a general medicine check on Omen?
Yeah. Make a medicine check.
Because Jill just saw some goopy goo and it's just like, what's that?
Saw some very brightly colored blue goo where meat bits should have been.
17.
All right. So with a medicine check, he's telling the truth. Looking at him, it did look like he had a pretty grievous wound, but the spot where you saw the almost cartoonish looking bite from his shoulder area has just healed over. It looks like they're still tearing on the actual injuries itself, but it looks like, if anything, maybe your eyes were playing tricks on you, because, like, medically speaking, it looks fine.
You look almost perfectly fine. This looks like an injury that's had much time to heal.
I mean, that's certainly the benefit of divine healing, isn't it?
I would like to think that I'm a pretty good healer, but Ulman, I'm not that good.
I feel like you're trying to imply something to me, but I'm not getting it.
I'm not implying anything in particular. I just noticed something odd, and then I wanted to make sure you were all right, but you look perfectly fine.
I appreciate the thoughts. You know, I heard, but you look perfectly well, and well, I suppose you didn't get hit much, did you?
Well, yes, when I did get injured, I there wasn't any like blue gooey residue in any lizard folks' mouths, so that just I just wanted to make sure you're okay, but you seem okay.
I'm doing very well, and I appreciate your concern, but well, it's healed over. Hopefully, it patches itself up a little more than this over the next couple of weeks. But
Very, very well then. Uh, good to hear. Good to see. Well, right. And Jilfa'en will kind of awkwardly shuffle away.
Albus, I shoot you a look.tm.
I'm not sure what that's for.
Are we brain linked?
Yes.
I think they're getting mighty suspicious. Are we gonna be hanging around them for long?
I think so.
I do really like them, honestly. I guess I was just thinking, if we were gonna be hanging around for a long time, maybe I should just tell them.
This is not a decision that I'm going to be able to give you much help with. What?
That's fair.
Sharing what's happened to you, that's a lot to ask someone to be understanding of.
Yeah, but I think hiding it from them is worse. If I want them to trust me, which I do, because I think they're nice.
Honesties. Does being honest with people make people happy?
I mean, usually, I know what people are saying to me is the truth. I feel better about it. I wouldn't want to find out that someone had been lying to me for a long time when I thought they were telling me the truth. I mean, but you know, it also depends on the situation every time. Some things need to be hidden, and some are unavoidable. With that, he like heel turns, and it's like, Jill.
Yes.
I am doing all right, but your eyes were not playing tricks on you. Captain,
Yeah, what's up?
could you come here for a moment?
I'm kind of steering the ship and doing things, but yeah, sure, yeah, I'll be right there. Waltz is over. Something on your mind?
I am a woman, as I have told you all. But not really. And he pulls at the dagger at his belt, puts it on the ground. I'm Ham. Omen. Hi.
I'm sorry, what?
No, I get that you like ham, but
No.
You're not made of ham.
That is my friend, Ham. And he's holding the knife again. This is me, Ulman. And he holds
Bill,
out
can
the
I
knife.
Jill, can I speak to you in private, please? Sidebar, quick sidebar.
Albus is still sitting on the bed right here, just like, yep, still, this is a thing that's happening. He's just like, yep.
Oceanus is driving the ship at this point.
Bless
I hope he knows how.
I hold the knife out to like one of you. Hilt first.
Yeah, so Jill's gonna be like, yeah, Hish, I'll be with you in a moment. I think as she like takes the knife, she's gonna like look.
Howdy.
Omen,
Hear my
Ham.
voice in your head. Not out loud.
Is this one of those Albus things?
No, this is me. It took me a long time to figure out how to do this. I spent 6 months inside of Ham before I figured it out. And
I'm just gonna make like a general insight check.
Yeah. Make an insight check.
Just, what the hecky is going
And
on?
Hish, you just see Jill take the knife, look at it, look at Ulman, look at the knife, look at Ulman.
Yeah, I think Hish is looking at Ulman, looking at Jill, looking at Ulman, looking at Albus.
So do you need a moment? Do I need to go see about Oceanus?
I got a 21, by the way.
Yeah, he seems to be telling the truth.
Okay, Ulman. Is this who I'm speaking to at the moment? Ulman?
yeah, that is me. Omen Dark.
So, you are in the knife?
Yep. That's me. The knife. I was cursed. I used to be a normal man. I guess I'd be... Oh, years are hard to track when you're stuck in a forest with no real thing to do or think about. I think I'm 85.
Okay.
I was 22 when I was turned into a knife.
And how did this happen to you?
Well, it was a rash decision that I immediately regretted. I left my pregnant wife when she told me she was pregnant. Her mother cursed me. I had a lot of emotions at the time. Honestly, I probably would have slept under a tree that night and gone home, but I didn't really get a chance.
Wow, that's certainly... okay. And then... Ham here.
It is his favorite food, and he thinks that's how names work. He doesn't know what an omen is yet, but he's really excited to eat one.
So, I guess what I don't understand is... Look, I'm holding you, and I'm still me.
Uh-huh.
Right? Right, I'm
Yeah.
still me. Okay. But when Ham holds you, Ham is you?
Well, that's because we're working together. See, Ham holds that shape because he likes it. We were looking at how people look and he saw that on the cover of a book. And well, I don't remember what I looked like, so he just kind of went for it, and I was happy with it.
I see. So, what is your friend Ham then?
Well, you'll need to give me back so I can speak with him.
Right. Hish wanted to speak to me for a moment anyway.
Can someone tell me what's going on?
Hish might want to see this part.
You may want to see this.
So
See what?
And Albus will give a TLDR of exactly that.
Yeah,
Like completely corroborating that entire story.
Oceanus just sees 4 people standing on the deck, like they are
Staring
NPCs
at a
no
knife?
longer. No, like the main adventurer is left, and now it's just the NPCs standing there. As the 4 of you just look at each other, not saying anything because it's all mental. All of this talking.
Oh, he was going to say it out loud.
No,
Okay,
works
cool.
too. Do you hand me back?
Yes.
As you do, Ham puts me on his belt and turns into a medium luminescent blue slime.
That makes sense now. Sort of. I mean, the gooey thing.
If you're made of goo, how do you eat ham?
Well, we did a lot of studying about anatomy. You see, I promised Ham a lot of things in return for, carrying me around like this and helping me out. And by a lot of things, I mean mostly I'm going to show him how cool it is to be a human and eat prepared foods and sleep in beds and get massages and see cool things and adventure. So that was enticing enough for him.
That's a pretty easy deal on your end, I would say.
I think at this point there is just like a small mouth formed in the slime.
Oceanus is slack-jawed at all of this. He has no idea what to make of it.
And I transform back up.
So, I guess, what exactly... Maybe I can make some sort of... What sort of background knowledge do I have that would help me? Not a lot. That's not my specialty. I'll just ask, what is Ham exactly?
I mean, I think he's like a slime or an ooze of some kind. He rolled out of a cave and over me at one point, and that's how it picked me up. And he just kind of carried me around because he liked the dagger. He thought it was pretty, and that's why I was able to kind of sit with him for 6 months and try to figure out how to breach the bridge between my head and his. I guess my answer is I don't really know.
That's okay, that's valid. Right. Hish,
I mean, everything I've said about myself is true. I want you to know. I just am not one person. Omen is the person in the dagger, and Ham is helping me out, and most of the time I talk to him, and then he says the things I want to say.
Is this why you can turn into different things and your face went a little crazy there for a minute?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
That tracks.
If I don't think too hard about this, I can pretend it's normal.
Did you still want to speak?
No, I was just I was gonna talk to you about the possibility of throwing a crazy man overboard, but that's over now. It's true.
Yeah, strangely enough, I'm inclined to believe you. And you don't seem to have any malicious intent. If you forgive me, it is a lot to take in, though.
I'm mostly traveling with Albus, well, as his bodyguard, because I don't have much to do, and it's a good way to wander around. But I'm also looking for my wife, and well, my child, maybe.
Where did you last see your wife?
Back in my hometown, but when I went back there to check if the shop was still there, she wasn't there anymore.
Well, I'm really sorry to hear that.
Yeah, you pay for your mistakes, I suppose. But I'm hoping now that I've got a second chance, a new life, that I can maybe do some good where I failed in my original life.
Do you... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Jill.
Do you want to, I suppose, not be a knife anymore? I know there are ways to remove curses. Do you want to look into that, or?
I don't know. I don't really know how these kinds of curses work. And, well, what if I turn into an 85-year-old man? What if I wasn't supposed to live that long and I just die when I transform back? I don't know. Okay. It worries me a little bit, but it's not something that I don't want.
If you're technically an 85-year-old man, then theoretically I hate to say this, but Ulman, theoretically your wife could have already passed away.
I know that's possible. But hey, my kid could still be around somewhere, and I'd sure like to meet him.
Well, I'd like to help you find him, if we can. I don't know where to start, but...
Me neither. But hey, we've got a boat, so faster travel. I don't want you to feel like you need to rush to help me. I've made my mistakes, and I will work with what I've got at the moment. And right now, well, we've got a ship and some business opportunities, and who knows, maybe when I have some money, I can actually put out for couriers to go looking and things like that.
Absolutely. Well, I appreciate you being honest with me, Ulman. Is that your original name?
Yeah. Omen Dark is what I've been named my whole life.
Cool.
Oh, actually, I suppose that's not necessarily true. I don't know what my original last name was, but the Darks adopted me when I was pretty young. I wasn't old enough to remember my parents, so.
Well, your name's your name. It can be whatever you want it to be.
That's true.
Well, this is a lot to absorb, but
yeah, of course. Take your time. I just figured we're getting back to shore soon. Probably gonna all turn into our separate places for the night or something. Let you all digest on that.
Right. Thank you. And I think Jill is going to just make her way somewhere else.
Okay. At this point, you guys have been having this conversation for close to that 30 minutes. So as the natural lull of conversation dies, you actually see that you are pretty close to the dock, and Oceanus has been doing a pretty good job. Hish, you have the sudden realization, like, oh fuck, if we don't correct right now, we are going to run right into that dock. So you rush back up, gently move Oceanus out of the way.
I give him some reassuring pats and squeezes on the shoulder as I move him out of the way.
And as you do, he just says, "That was exhilarating! I've never actually driven a ship before. I've always just swam. It seemed faster."
Well, it probably is, but you did a fantastic job, Oceanus. Thank you.
He kind of puts his hands on his hips and puffs out his chest a little bit and gives you a wide smile. And as you guys get close to the docks, you actually see, with a hooded lantern, is none other than one of the men who was operating your rowboat earlier. It is Dave, the ship worker. And he helps lead you guys in. And as you bring down the bridge to go from the ship down onto the docks, he lets you all know. He thanks you for your service. Gillen has already returned. Or at this point, he kind of leans in and says, "Our mutual friend has returned after going and checking out the haunted house. He is going to run a general inspection on the ship to see what all was commandeered by you guys, mostly because there has been reports of, well, piracy along the coast, and the dwarves that are currently running a mining operation out of the southeast of Saltmarsh actually had a shipment of brandy stolen not even a month ago, and you guys are pretty certain that that's the 40 cases of brandy that lie underneath the within the hull of your ship. So Dave ends up thanking you for your service and offers you, or doesn't offer you, but rather pays you the 400 gold pieces in a very large sack, just hands it to you, Hish, and says, "Captain." And then with that, you guys are free to disperse those funds how you would like, heading back out to Saltmarsh.
Yeah, Hish divides it evenly between the four of us.
Okay, so you can each add a 100 more gold pieces to each of your coin purses. And so over the next several days, things are some events are going to take place. So Hish, your original idea of clearing out the haunted house and then putting it up for auction is going to be happening, and Gillen is going to ask you to come along with him for the actual auctioning off of this piece of property. Ulman, are you returning back to the 100-foot tall cliff so that way you can paint more of Saltmarsh? What are you currently doing? Or what do you think Ulman's plans would be over the next set of days?
Natural sites are around Saltmarsh for painting?
Not a whole lot, to be honest. There is the Mire of Dead Men, which is a bog to the south, and then that isn't really very nice to look at. Really, there is just this kind of sprawling ocean scene.
Doing set netting on the shore?
I'll say yes.
Then I'll do painting of fishermen doing set netting.
Okay, sounds good. And then Albus, what are you doing over the next set of days?
Talking to a wizard friend and spending a couple of days just like on the shore, like looking out at the horizon.
Okay. And Jill, you are still going to be doing your Umberland duty and going out and worshiping your goddess or praying to her at the beginning of every day. So you would probably see Albus there as well.
Yes. Jill has a couple of things she wants to accomplish over a few days.
Sure.
I think first things first, she would like to basically meet with the captain of, I think we called the ship, it was like the Silvered Salmon.
Yep.
The ship that she was employed to, and basically kind of almost like hand in like a resignation, like, I had something else come up, so I can't go with you to your next location.
He seems very solemn in accepting your letter, but tells you that clerics of Umberly are like the tides. Sometimes they are with you, sometimes they are not, and that is just a fact of life that he will have to live with.
Mm-hmm. Once that business is accomplished, I think I'm not sure if she would know how to do this, so she might get some help in like drafting up like a contract for another ship.
Another what? Another ship.
Yeah, for another ship.
Okay, yeah.
I don't going about that process. I'm not sure how she would go about doing that, but that's what she would like to accomplish.
Okay.
And then once she's done with that, find Hish.
Okay. So, Hish, you are currently, this is several days after the ship has been returned. And with all of the goods and weapons on board, you guys are actually awarded an additional 700 gold pieces by the city council that you can then divide into 4 again. So each one of you will get a quarter of 700 GP for this. And Gellin has let you know that they left 4 barrels of spirits behind for you guys in the hull of your ship. And when you explain to him the name of the ship that you would like, he's also working on getting that repainted for you. But you are currently at the auction, and you're sitting there with Gellin, and you watch as farm animals go by. You see a couple paintings go by that aren't of any particular make. And as you are waiting for the house to go on sale, you see that from the back, a man silently walks in. And he has flaming red hair. He has a very nice trimmed mustache. And he's wearing this elaborate emerald green cloak with a very fancy rapier at his side. And he just seems to have his arms crossed, pressed his back up against the wall of this auction house. And every once in a while, he just looks at his nails, seems to be waiting for something.
Does his coat look suspiciously like my coat that I got from wherever I got it from?
Make an insight check.
Because I do believe I have a shiny green coat.
Perception check, actually, would be good with this.
So 14,
Okay,
18.
So you said 18?
Yes.
Okay, so with your 18, you realize that the stylings on your coat and the stylings on his coat are actually very different. Where yours is just kind of like a very fancy color, his has embroidery along the sides of it. And as his cloak kind of billows, you can see that there are actually what look to be like hundreds of tiny pockets that have been sewn onto the inside of this luxurious looking coat. And he, again, just looks very well dressed, very clean. His boots have very little mud on them. He does not look like he is actually from Saltmarsh at all. And soon.
Have I ever seen him like come into the docks before?
You have not, actually. Throughout all of your time working, he seems to have either just arrived today or possibly the day before.
Is Gellin with me?
Gellin is.
Okay, yeah. Hish leans over to Gellin and sort of nudges and jerks his head in Fancy Pants' direction and says, "You know who that is?"
And Gellin looks over and is going to see about...
Don't be obvious about it.
He doesn't like do a quick head turn. He's more subtle. He kind of just like tips the brim of his hat a little bit, and you see him giving a side eye. And he raises an eyebrow. And, "Oh, I've never seen him before." And this figure ends up going from looking at his nails, looking over, and as he totally sees Gellin making like looking over at him, and as he does, the figure just sort of wiggles his fingers over in your direction. And then you see that he just kind of has a coy smile on him and has this very almost comforting, deep chuckle to himself as he sees you guys kind of looking at him.
Don't trust it.
And eventually, the haunted house 4 miles south of Saltmarsh is now up for auction. And as the auction begins, you see, or you hear the auctioneer say that bidding is going to start at 75 gold pieces for this house. And you see that a couple people raise their paddles, saying, "Oh, I'll take it for 80. Oh, I'll take it for 90." Just trying to get this piece of real estate for this formerly haunted house. And Gellin raises his paddle and says, 350. And you see a lot of the other members of other general members of Saltmarsh just kind of like, oh, 350 gold. It makes sense. He's clearly one of the leaders of the town. And you see the man in the green robe raise his hand. 2,000.
So I fucking knew it. Damn it.
And Gillen just looks at, just the slow head turn, looking over towards the figure, and the figure again kind of wiggles his fingers towards you, and Gillen says, 2,100 gold pieces. And closing his eyes in a very haughty manner, 3,000. And Gillen you see his face just get red and frustrated, and he wasn't expecting anybody to offer that much money for that piece of real estate. And the auctioneer says, 3,000 pieces going for the haunted house. 3,000. Can I hear it once, twice, and sold to the man in the fancy Greek coat? And at that, you see the figure in the fancy green coat pull out what looks to be a business card. It is very small, and it has a symbol on it. And you see him just speak a very quick phrase into this card. And the symbol on it ends up kind of lighting up very quickly, and then soon this small business card actually disintegrates into a small pile of dust. And with the perception that you had earlier, you saw that the symbol on this business card looked like a capital letter I that had a letter A in the middle of it.
Is this his daddy's credit card? Is that what this is?
You're not sure.
I bet it is.
And with that, you see this figure ends up going up to the front, pulling out a large sack of coins, sets it onto the auctioneer stand, and ends up taking a deed as well as a set of keys, kind of puts them into his pocket, and then abruptly leaves the auction house. That seems to have been the only thing that he was interested in here. And Gillen is just hand on his forehead, rubbing it together, just... Who was that?
You're asking the wrong guy.
And with that, Gillen just... He ends up doing a little bit of retail therapy while you guys are at the auction house. He's definitely buying... now that he knows he's not getting the house, he's going to pick up some paintings and some fine
blow
drink.
That 2,000 gold somewhere else.
He had it saved for something special, and then all of a sudden this guy shows up. The next event takes place several days after that. So, Jill, you are still working at trying to draft up this contract for the new ship. Ulman, you are currently out painting the fishnets. Yes, would you like to do anything?
I both would like to go shopping and also catch Jill after prayer another morning.
Okay. What are you shopping for?
I want to find some new armor and a shield.
Okay. What armor are you currently looking at getting?
I'm looking for some studded leather.
Yeah, you could totally find studded leather. They will have that at the Faithful Quartermaster, just on hand for you.
Cool. So I can just purchase that stuff.
Yep.
Cool.
Yep, no need to order it, and it is going to be standard pricing out of the player's handbook.
You need me to spot you?
No, I've got 280 gold now.
You still need me to spot you? I've got 800 gold pieces in the bag of holding.
I mean, you know I'm going to spend my money, and then I'm going to put the rest of it in your bag.
All right.
I mean, that's just what Omen does. He spends what he needs, and then he just gives the rest to you, because you're our money manager.
That's a
I'm on your
horrible
payroll.
decision.
All right, so you managed to pick up this new armor that you were in need of, and then easy enough, you managed to catch Jill.
I think I'm just like waiting, like up at the top of the shore for you when you're done.
Yeah, I think as Jill is like coming back in from the tide, like she does every morning, she's just like, Ulman?
Joe, I was curious if you wanted to get some breakfast. I wanted to pick your brain a little bit.
Well, the standard fee that I charge for picking my brain is usually a few gold pieces. However, I believe breakfast is an acceptable alternative.
I don't mind the fish all that much, but do you know anywhere in town that serves like eggs and bacon?
Do I?
You would know of one such place here. It is not the Snapping Line, which is pretty good. You guys have been either staying there or on the ship, depending on what you're more comfortable with. But there is definitely a place where you can actually go and find yourself some better food than what they have. And that is going to be the Empty Net. It is a small tavern that is actually located on stilts off of the main road near the Faithful Quartermaster that is actually outset from the main island itself. It just seems to be standing in the bay.
I may know of a place. I can take you there. I've been once or twice.
Ooh, they make flipjacks. You know, those like circular fried dough things. Well, I guess they're more of a batter when you make them. They're like flat. You smother them with jam.
Can we get a good country breakfast at the...
Yeah, you guys can get a wholesome country breakfast at the Empty Net. It is named... We'll say that it's named the Empty Net because they don't serve fish. And it's kind of like the... it's like the niche restaurant of Saltmarsh.
Okay. Yeah. I believe they have such things there. I can show you the way.
Great.
Yeah, and we'll head over for a good old country breakfast.
Yeah.
As we start walking, Ulman is like kind of biting at his lip. I guess you really don't have to talk to me about this if you don't want to, but I was wanting to pick your brain about your religion.
Well, that's going to cost extra, but you know, we can handle that whenever we order the food.
Of course.
What would you like to know?
Well, I guess I'm curious why everyone hates Umberly so much. She's the goddess of the sea, right?
I suppose if you're to look at it from multiple perspectives, there are multiple deities that could claim some sort of ownership over the sea.
Are there? Like I said, I'm not very familiar with religion. We the local gods that we prayed to when I was young, but I don't know much about the major ones.
Which ones would I know of, DM? Like, I know of
Valkyr.
Valkyr, thank you. I know of them.
You would know of the basic pantheon, I would say. There's goddesses like Saloon, who's the goddess of the moon. Lathander is a pretty big one. He is the god of the sun, so most places will have temples to Lathander set up. There is actually a forest to Sylvanas on the outskirts of Saltmarsh, kind of this more flooded grove area where druids and other nature worshippers can go. And then, of course, there are also the other deities that you heard from in passing along the ship, such as Gond, who is one of the deities of creation, but more in the sense of like artificing and ship making. Like, he is much more of a tangible creation deity than something as broad as I created it all. No. Then there would be you would know of some of the more mal-aligned deities as well, ones that are close to Umberly, such as Auril, the Frost Maiden. Then to a lesser extent, you would know of Malar, who is the Lord of Evil Lycanthropes, but he is more just there. Nobody that you know really worships this guy, but he's still brought up.
Yeah, I think she'll just like casually like list some off without going into much detail. But without getting too much into Umberly, so almost like diverting a little bit.
All right, so there's a lot of them, with all various claims over parts of the sea.
Well, some have.
Sometimes, in some way, but I don't know. Every time someone says Umberly, people cringe. I guess I'm just trying to understand.
Well, one, I guess, to put it to you this way, one of the nicknames that she has garnered over the years that, well, in my opinion, I think she's probably quite proud of is the bitch queen.
That seems pretty rude.
Well, it's pretty accurate.
Is it?
She's not a very nice deity.
Can deities be nice?
Well, from what I hear, certainly.
Okay. What makes her not nice?
Well, she has power over the sea. Yes, but well, she revels in the power that she has over it, and I guess when she can, you know, she likes to make others suffer because of it.
That
For
sounds.
any
Go ahead.
well, she can summon storms to destroy whole ships and drown everyone on board just because she feels like it.
That sounds an awful lot like how nature works.
Yes, but it's not so much to maintain a balance of nature. It is because she is vengeful and petty and
But I guess
capricious.
I just feel like you don't curse the mountain when it blows its top. Like, it's a thing that happens.
Right.
Storms roll in and lightning starts forest fires, but you don't curse those. Wolves eat your sheep sometimes, but you don't curse the god of wolves.
Mhm.
Is there a god of wolves? There has to be. I'm sure there is. That's not my point. I don't know. I just, maybe it's just my limited understanding, but it sounded like she gets an awful bad rap for having to take care of something that's awful scary.
Well, let me put it to you this way. Do you think the mountain chooses to consciously blow its top, as it were, I suppose for malicious reasons? As does the wolf eat the sheep and so
I don't
on
know.
and so
Does
forth?
the sea form storms that wreck ships for malevolent reasons? Like, does she do it just because she likes wrecking ships?
Yes.
Huh. I'm not gonna argue with you about it, but it seems a little weird to me. But like I said, this is your territory, not mine. I'm just trying to wrap my head around it. Experience new things.
Every awful, terrible thing you hear about Umberly is completely and utterly based in truth, to varying degrees.
But she doesn't do anything good?
No.
What about the sailors who make it out on, like, barrels when their ship has been destroyed by the Tempest?
Oh, well, that's probably where Valka comes in.
Oh, so just another god gets credit for when the sea doesn't eat someone? That seems awful convenient.
I appreciate in some way that you're trying to do to justify the goddess I am in service of. However, it's really not worth the effort.
I mean, I guess I'm not trying to justify it. The sea is angry and wrathful from, well, what I've heard. As we both know, I haven't been very far out on it, but seems like a dangerous place, and it seems unfair for one person to get all the bad rap for all the bad of it, and other people to get praise for the good parts of it.
I suppose. Well, be grateful that, and please, I don't mean anything rude by this, that your ignorance allows you to see things that way. I think it's a much better way to look at the world.
I take no offense.
As I believe I've told you before, no one willingly worships Umberly. For the reasons I've described, no one would ever sing someone's praises who does things just because she can to hurt people.
Well, why does she give power to people at all then, if they don't want to worship her?
Well, when you're a deity, you suppose you revel in having people worship you, and if you cannot get people to do so by their own volition, then you recruit them by force.
I mean, do you have to stay at the ocean? Do you die if you get far away from the sea?
I come from a family of sailors. My father was a sailor. My brothers are sailors, and I was one as well. And sometimes I think, perhaps I would like to do something else. Maybe not do my fancy standing around job and basically being a good luck charm for others, perhaps I would like to explore other parts of the world and see other things and get away from the sea. But when I think of that, I also think of my father and my brothers out on the sea, and then maybe one day Umberly deciding, well, if I can't have Jilfa'en working for me, perhaps I can take something from her. So I stopped thinking about those things.
Interesting.
So I don't die if I go away from the sea, but others could.
Others might. And there's no real way to prove whether it's malicious or not if they do die, but I see where you're coming from. All right. Well, I appreciate you being so forthcoming with this conversation.
It's going to cost you extra.
As does everything, apparently. But I've got some money right now, so I'm not that worried about it.
Very well.
All right.
Are you satisfied?
Yeah, your country breakfast meal will end up being a grand total of 2.5 gold pieces. So 2 gold, 5 silver.
And Jill will just eat it a little quietly.
All right. So yeah, you guys finish up your breakfast. And then Ulman, again, you are spending the next day out painting these fishing lines. And as you are looking out across the sea, you see something very strange. Off in the distance, coming from the north, you see coming through the air this large brown and red shape. And you're not exactly sure what it is, but as you're painting, you just sort of watch it as it encroaches. And after about a half hour or so, you can actually see this thing now much clearer than it was before. And it looks like the hull of a boat that is currently being held aloft in the air by a giant red balloon that has flames coming up from underneath it, filling the balloon with heat to keep it aloft. And you see that emblazoned on the front of this large red balloon is a large capital I that looks like it has an A stuck in the middle of it. And as you're watching, you see on the side riggings and side ropes that have been set up is a kind of older looking adventurer. He is half elven, blonde, very stern looking expression, wearing very heavy looking armor. That also has this symbol on the front of his vestments that he wears, and he looks like a clerical style figure. And standing next to him, arms crossed with this very crooked, shit-eating grin on his face, long black hair dressed all in purple, is what looks to be a wizard fellow. And they're just sort of talking back and forth to each other. And you watch as this balloon, this large flying airship, actually comes towards you and circles around you several times up above and begins its descent. And it lands not 20, 30 feet away from where you are with a very loud, very satisfying as this airship comes to meet the ground. And you see that a plank bridge is set out from the side of this ship that then comes down onto the ground. And the purple-robed figure as well as the half-elven cleric end up stepping off of the ship and then coming down onto the ground. And the blonde individual looks over towards you. This Saltmarsh?
Yeah.
And then as he kind of looks around, you see the purple robed wizard looking fellow just, oh man, this place smells like absolute ass, Omen. What are we doing here? And the figure who has been identified as Omen just, Jim, we've been through this. It smells like fish because it's a fishing village. And the figure just sort of looks at him and just, but why are we here? Why did we both have to come? Waterdeep was great. Come on. And he just, Jim, I'm going to ask you only once. Shut the fuck up. Please. And at that, the wizard just, well, I don't see why I have to shut up. This is bullshit. I don't want to come here anyways. Just seems to be complaining to himself. And the figure that has been identified as Omen comes up to you. I'm here to meet somebody. Omen Drawn, Acquisitions Incorporated, CEO. Nice to meet you. And he puts his hands out.
Omen Dark.
Ulman? Did you clear out a house about 4 miles from here? We got a report that said that there was a haunted house, no longer haunted, thanks to a group of adventurers, self-proclaimed adventurers, freelancers, if I'm going to be quite honest.
That would be us, me and my new friends. We heard about the haunted house. We figured maybe it'd be nice for the community if it weren't abducting people. So we checked it out to see if it was even haunted or if it was just a bar tale.
Now, that's a very novel idea. I have a question for you. Was there any reason that you wanted to clear it out, or did you just feel like it was the good of your heart to do it?
Well, for me, it was purely the experience. I was really hoping to see a ghost. I've never seen one before, and I thought it might be kind of cool. There were no ghosts, only smugglers.
So you're saying that you're experience driven. You would call yourself an experience driven individual?
I suppose so.
All right. It's good to know. We're going to be in town for a little bit getting things set up. Would you mind possibly bringing your friends back here?
Sure. I suppose I could go round them up.
I have a proposition that I'd like to talk to you all about. More of a job opportunity, really.
Do you like the sound of work? Time? Should I just go get them as fast as possible, bring them back here?
I would say it's imperative.
All right. Well, before I leave, and he reaches into one of his many pockets, you should give this bomb to your friend. You put a little under your nose. It smells like peppermint instead of fish.
And he looks at it, looks at Jim, and like as you look over, Jim is very clearly like using one of his wands to kind of pick at his nose. And he just, and Jim looks over at you, Ulman, and just, you didn't see that! And I need you to make a wisdom save.
Natural 20?
Okay. You feel as if there is a brief wave of magic that passes over you, and Jim looks at you and says, I was standing looking really cool, really dapper right there. That's what happened. And
yeah, that's definitely the story I will tell you. We're not picking your nose with your wand.
And he just looks at you with this like kind of long face, and Omen looks at him again and just, you can't do that on everyone. You can't keep trying. We're going to have a talk later. No more franchises. Not for you anyways. And Jim just sort of looks a little dejected at that. But then you see Omen reach into his pocket, and he pulls out what looks to be a metal cube, and he says, pumpernickel, and tosses it, and you watch as this large mechanical tower just seems to erupt from the ground where the cube was. It seems like this cube actually expands out to create this large tower. And as it stays rested, you watch as unfurling from the side of it is this very red litany that once again has the logo that is not only on the airship, but was also on his clothing as well. And looking at Jim, you can also see that he is wearing a badge with the same logo on it.
Just for my own context, I assume you're an organization of some kind, seen by your symbol that's blazoned all over your stuff. What's it mean?
And he just sort of looks and looks towards Jim, leans in. I told you the branding would work. We're Acquisitions Incorporated. We're an adventuring company. We hire on adventuring interns. We offer excellent benefits, excellent pay, and of course are always looking for experience-driven individuals such as yourself to help lead the charge for setting up new franchises.
Gotta say, that's a lot of business talk that not quite a businessman, but I'll go get my friends for you.
Oh, of course. Bring as many as you would like. We are currently going to be having our office temporarily here. We are going to be renovating the house that we recently purchased to become the Saltmarsh headquarters. So, just as a heads
y'all
up.
are the people who pay the absurd amount of money for that house.
Cool. Absurd amount of money. And he kind of skews his look. Out of curiosity, how much money have you heard that was spent on this?
Hish, would you have discussed this with me at all? Dingo?
Sorry, I was yelling. What did you say?
I said, would you have told me about this at all?
Yeah, I would have probably mentioned it to you. I don't know that I would have said the exact amount.
I think I probably would have asked. Mostly because you didn't tell me about the auction, so I didn't get to go, and Ham was very disappointed and made you tell me all about it.
Aw. Then yeah, I would have told you. If you had asked, I would have told you that it was like 3,000, I think.
I think like 3,000.
And at that, you see Omen just stand up a little bit straighter. His face goes from I am possibly recruiting new employees to a very stone look, and he turns towards Jim. And Jim just, you can't demote him. He's already an intern. And Omen just says, thin fucking ice. Thin fucking ice, Jim. And then he just sort of looks back towards you. Thank you for that. You're already doing very well.
No problem. I'll see y'all later.
Okay. And with that, you see that Omen kind of circles his hand a few times, and you watch as a small crew from the airship then begin to actually carry out boxes and things into this instant fortress that Omen seemed to have summoned.
I think I go find Hish first.
All right. And as you go to pick up your party members, that is where we are going to go to our break for the evening. So I would like to say thank you to everybody who has decided to stop by and enjoy our adventures in the Dangers of Dunwater Part 1. We're trying something a little bit different and incorporating not one but two adventure books into this adventure. So yay, me as the DM, because prep is amazing. But we are going to try and be back in 5 to 10 minutes, so don't go no place unless it is to grab a food, grab a drink, grab a friend, go to bit.ly/adventure merch, possibly pick yourself up something nice, or leave us a review in the audiocast or video that you're watching. It lets us know if we're doing a good job or if you want to see any changes. I'll read it. I probably shouldn't if it's on a YouTube comment, but I'll read it. And with that, we are going to go to our break, so we'll see you guys soon. All right, everybody. Bye-bye. Welcome back. I was making sure that we were unmuted and everything was going great. I'd like to say, Nefarious Obituary, thank you for the follow. You did it earlier in the stream, but I just spaced on seeing it until the break. So, thank you. So, Ulman, you have just been introduced to Omen Drawn and Jim Dark Magic of Acquisitions Incorporated. The logo looks like this, capital I with the A in the middle of it. And you are on your way to go see Hish. Alrighty. So, Hish, where can you be found at this point? Are you just relaxing at home, or are you like over by the dock? You have also watched as this airship TM question mark has just sort of sailed above Saltmarsh and landed on the landed near the leap.
Yeah, I think Hish would be at home.
Okay.
At his house watching this happen, probably in his yard on his rocking chair on his porch.
I don't know where your house is. So Omen is going to walk through the streets yelling, Hish! Hish!
I think Jill also wanted to see me too.
Yes.
Yeah, and Hish, you would have seen Hish, Jill, Albus, where all of you are. You have all watched as this ship just sailed through the skies heading over. And now Ulman is currently yelling for Hish in the city streets.
Yeah, I think that would get Hish up out of his rocking chair. And he kind of goes to his gate and starts strolling down the street and probably comes across Ulman shouting his name.
As soon as I see you round the corner, I throw my arms wide. Ah, the beautiful gentleman as ever. I was just looking for you.
Well, you are in a... No, I couldn't possibly have heard you shouting my name down the street.
You haven't told me where you live, so it's kind of the only way to find you currently.
I live just up the hill over there.
All right. Well, there's some gentleman. Oh, no, his name was so close to mine. What? Omen and a Jim.
No, Ulman, that's your name.
No,
Try
no,
again.
without the L.
Oh, Omen.
Omen. Like a bad
Ooh.
omen.
Oh.
Whereas I'm like an Ulman. Anyway, they talked to me, and I said how we were the people who cleared out the haunted house, and they said they were actually looking for the people who cleared out the haunted house, so I came to get you all. They seem very rich based off of the things they have. They had a tower that came from a box. That one you can see.
Yeah, I saw that. Here's the thing. I like the fact that they're rich. I don't like the fact that they just kind of set up shop.
I mean,
just build a big old tower. I feel like you need some kind of permit for that.
Temporary shop? They plan to renovate the house and work out of there, but I suppose they could drive more business to the local businesses by staying at the inns. It is, but with their money, I don't know. Rich people can do what they want. Isn't that the point of having a lot of money? That's what it's always seemed to be.
Well, yeah, I mean,
I want to do what I want with money. More just rich people do what they want.
That is true. Just something about this doesn't sit right with me. Do you know where Jill and Albus are? I haven't seen him in days.
assume Albus is with his wizard friend, where I leave him every day as his bodyguard. And Jill, well, I didn't see her after she left her parents this morning, so I have no clue. I'll probably just yell her name very loudly. She can't be that many places.
All right, you yell for Albus and Jill, and we'll rendezvous at the big, fancy new tower.
All right. Or I could yell for Jill, and you could just go grab Albus,
That's
and
a
then
lot
we
of
could
work.
meet up. But it would be half the time.
I have to use my legs, Ulman.
I want to be the first people there if they have a lot of money. They said they had a job offer. We have a ship now. We can take jobs.
Well, you're right. I see your point. All right. I think Dylan's going to have words for me taking a job from someone who bought the house from under his feet. But you know what?
We don't really have to take the job. We just, I don't know, have to listen.
Well, yep, you're right. Oh, okay. I'll go get Albus. You go get Jill.
All right.
We'll meet at the tower.
That he spins on his heel and just starts yelling, Jill! Jill!
I like to think that Hish and Omen simultaneously spin on their heels and walk in opposite directions.
Yes, please. All right, so Jill, make a perception check.
Nine.
Where are you currently?
Well, I guess it depends. Maybe I'm trying to get this contract drawn up at, whoever in town does that sort of thing.
Okay. So you haven't really seen a whole lot of maritime contracts being passed out. You know that a lot of the contracts that do come through Saltmarsh are mostly for the High Council of Saltmarsh, as well as for the mines. So you're not particularly sure who you would go to. There is the Temple of Valkyr, but man, you'd rather be caught dead than going in there. Fuck those guys. So at this point, you're probably just in the snapping line, ink all over your fingers, just like, how do I do this?
Well, this is aggravating. Yeah, so that's where I would be.
All right. Yeah, so Ulman, you eventually find Jilfa'en in the snapping line.
The snapping line would be the first place I check, because that's where we've been eating mostly. And I assume that's where they've been for the past couple of days if they're trying for the contract.
Yeah, it would either be...
Okay,
this is... Jill has been trying to either write the contract, but you guys now have a ship that you can stay on that already was fully furnished. So if you would rather have stayed there and not had all of your things just steadily reek of fish over the next few days, you would probably just sleep on the ship versus staying in the snapping line. But snapping line has cheap eats, and Jill, you're on your own dime at this point because nobody is sponsoring you.
That's true.
I think I slide in the door, Seinfeld style. Jill!
Omen. I'm sure the like you yell out, like more ink like just spills, and it's just like, Omen.
I saddle up over to the table. Oh, do you need some tips on how to not smudge your hand up so much? I've used ink and feathers quite a lot.
I think I can get the hang of this. Thank you, though. And I think she's gonna like shake her hands, and like one of them's gonna kind of like glow a little bit, and she's gonna like kind of cast gust to try to yeet some of the ink somewhere else.
Yeah, it gets onto the walls a little bit. There was a guy that was enjoying his meal, and it's It is sadly the same guy that Ulman's mega nasty burp from several sessions ago ended up affecting. He just can't seem to get a break when he eats in here with you guys as well. And ink gets onto his food and onto him, and he just, oh, come on! He picks up his stuff, and he just kind of dejectedly walks outside to eat.
Anyway, the real reason I'm here, you saw that giant ship? The flying thing? Question mark? Or have you been in here? There's a flying ship. It's now docked. Some men came out of it. They are the people who bought the haunted house. They wanted to talk to the adventurers who cleared it out, and I happened to be the first person they talked to, so therefore I'm collecting you all because they have a job they want to propose to us.
Okay, I suppose I could entertain the notion. Well, sure, why not?
Great. I already grabbed Hish, they're grabbing Albus, and we're just gonna meet back up over there.
All right, well, suppose we can start making our way over.
Yeah, when you guys exit the snapping line, Jill, whereas before the top of this hillside was rather pristine in its look, there is now a large ship with a very large red balloon hovering over it that has this capital I, capital A litany. And right next to it is this tower stands about 60 feet tall, with these two large red banisters that hang down from the side, and each one also has that same logo on it. And you see kind of floating above it every 6 seconds or so are what look to be words that say things like hiring all applicants, benefits, and you see a tiny little TM next to the benefits. And you see excellent pay, and the excellent pay has a small asterisk next to it. But it doesn't seem like they are then giving you those footnotes. It just seems like they are just throwing catchphrases up into the air above this tower.
Well, it's certainly ostentatious.
Well, they weren't doing that when I left, but they call themselves Acquisitions Incorporated.
And Jill, you can
I
make a
think they were
history
in
check if you would like.
Waterdeep last, maybe? I don't know. They said something about Waterdeep.
That's just a 7.
Okay, you've heard of Ak Inc. before, but kind of in the same way that you hear about the Zentarim or the Harpers or the Emerald Enclave. Like, it is just the name of a group to you, but there's no, like, you don't really know anything about it other than it does exist. And apparently, ostentatious.
I think she's gonna listen and kind of nod and just be like, so do they have a lot of money?
It certainly seems like it. That's honestly why I'm getting you all. Well, they had a lot of money, it seems like. I mean, for all this stuff, they must.
Okay, well, I can certainly entertain the offer. Yeah, definitely.
All right, and Albus, where are you currently?
Have we leveled up?
Yes.
90 feet underwater.
Okay. So Albus is just hanging out, enjoying a nice swim. Because you can breathe underwater now, correct?
Yep.
Yeah. So you are underwater 90 feet. And looking up, you saw a very, very large shadow, much larger than even a whale, actually pass over you, and it seemed to pass over all of the ships in the docks, goes over the bay, and you watched it just go over land.
I don't think that's where my focus is at the moment.
Okay, where is your focus?
Toward the horizon.
Just under the water?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, so you are currently just under the water hanging out.
Yep.
All right.
I'm not like going. I'm just like that's where my focus is. It's almost as if I'm just like staring out there, hoping that the horizon will come to meet me.
Okay.
Because I know if I keep going, then I'm probably going to die. Because I have 9 hit points.
Yeah. Have you done this before?
Yes.
Okay.
Over the past couple of days.
All right. And do you have a system for if people want to get a hold of you, or?
No.
Okay. Do you usually go to the same spot? Or is it a different spot? Yep. Okay.
It's the place underneath where Ulman does his paintings, underneath that ledge.
Okay.
Probably near where Jill does her prayers.
Okay. Yeah. So
and if you go to the beach, you'll see his coat there.
I feel like I would have known this if you're like painting down there and emerging from the water. And
yeah.
Maybe.
No, he said that.
Then I would not have misdirected Hish over to the wizard tower then.
Yeah. So yeah, you just sent Hish over to Albus's kind of resting area. And Hish, you see that Albus's coat is folded neatly on the beach, signifying that he is currently 90 feet underwater.
Oh, shoot. Really want to swim as far as Albus can probably go. Maybe I'll just, I think Hish looks around for like a stick or a big piece of like driftwood and just starts slapping the top of the water to try and get his attention.
Okay. Yeah, so Albus, make a perception check.
14.
You see a figure that is currently just slapping the water above. And it's around midday, a little bit later on, so you can see that this figure is actually large enough to be your friend Hish.
Okay, I'll come up.
Can I ask what you're doing down there, buddy?
I mean, you could.
What are you doing down there, buddy?
Swimming.
Well, all right. We got a job, I think, maybe. Something called Acquisitions Incorporated, the big tower over there. I don't know if you saw it. You might have been underwater when that all went down. Big ship happened.
Indoor. What do I know about? Do I know anything about Acquisitions Incorporated?
Make a history check.
$19.
Oh yes, you have heard of Acquisitions Incorporated before.
How?
How? Well,
how?
So it's very interesting because not a whole lot of people talk about the fact that there was a Tarrasque that was spotted about 10 years ago at this point outside of Waterdeep. And, just having heard from stories around that the members of Acquisitions Incorporated somehow managed to get inside of a large stone golem so large that it could actually go toe-to-toe with the Tarask. Much of Waterdeep was destroyed during this kaiju battle, but Acquisitions Incorporated was successful in removing the Tarask from Waterdeep and putting it back to sleep. They seem heroic.
Acquisitions Incorporated.
Yep. That's what Ulman said. They're super rich.
They're here.
Yeah, that's what I just said. Is that a problem? Because I'm getting some sketchy vibes off of them. I don't know about everyone else, but I'm getting the sketchy vibes off of them. Like, maybe something's up here.
I'm concerned about why they would be here, but okay. Yeah, and he'll redress and yeah.
All right. Yeah, so you guys then all make your way to the base of this hill, looking up at this large instant tower that was summoned. But the four of you are now together, kind of making your way north. And once you reach, or making your way up towards the ledge, and as you guys are getting near Hish, you see that same individual that had actually purchased the house from under your nose, this very fiery red-haired individual, and he currently has his hands behind his back, his head is down, and as you guys approach, you just hear, "Thin fucking ice, Viari. Thin fucking ice." I'm sorry, boss. I know that you wanted it, and I didn't want the townspeople to think that we couldn't afford it. Of course we can afford it. But and then,
Hey.
like, as he's like rubbing the bridge of his nose, sitting behind this smaller table, Jim ends up kind of nudging Omen a little bit and just says, "Omen, they're here." And at that, Omen just immediately goes customer service mode and just, "Hello and welcome to Acquisitions Incorporated. My name is Omen Drawn, CEO."
Albus is very wet.
Hish, as soon as he spots the intern, Hish goes, "Hey, you're that fucker who bought the house."
And at that, Viari just brings a hand through his hair as just kind of brushing the coif back, and then it pops back into place. And he says, "I'm a fucker of many things, sir, but I could, however, be the fucker who bought your house. Was it yours? I was under the assumption that it was vacant."
Well, it wasn't mine. It was supposed to be, well, not mine, but a friend of mine's. Either way, you definitely bought the house.
And
You're
at
not
that,
maybe the fucker who bought the house. You're definitely the one who bought the house. You spent like what, 3,000 on that?
and
We were gonna buy it for significantly lower, and I feel like, I mean, do you know what the quality of that house is? Have you had it inspected before you blew 3,000 on it?
And at that, you hear Jim, you watch as he just grabs his sides, and with a very almost bubbly laughter coming from this grown man, just fucking, god damn it. And Omen, finding none of this funny, just steadily turns his head. That's actually a very good point, Viari. Did you get it inspected? Well, I thought that, we could maybe 3,000 gold for a house. That's... And Ulman looks back towards the four of you. Would you describe it as dilapidated? In need of repair?
Absolutely.
There's a hole on the second floor that
And a hopeless amount of spiders.
hopeless
Lots
and
of
bats.
mold.
Weasels. I
weasels,
think.
Particularly vicious weasels.
Skeletons, possibly still decomposing bodies.
And at that, you just watch as Omen just like steadily keeps tilting his head down. There is just a layer of shade that goes over his eyes. And he just
like
takes
purple anime lines.
Yeah, just it's more of like you can see like the seething lines above him, and Viari is just like, well, I thought, oh, did you say hopeless amount of spiders? I mean, there's got to be some hope when fighting spiders, right?
Hopeless amount of spiders.
We marked the door if it helps.
And
don't ever open it.
It says, don't open this door. There's an ungodly amount of spiders inside.
Viari, they are already doing a better job than you have at this whole checking out the house thing. And
Well, of course we checked out the house. We're the ones who cleared it out.
Minus the spiders.
Minus the spiders. There's a hopeless amount, of course.
And at that, you see Jim just, ugh! I don't want to buy a house that has a hopeless amount of spiders, Omen! And just... We've already bought the house because Viari already bought it.
Speaking of buying things, Viari, is that your name, fucker? Where'd you get the coat?
Well, I've had this coat for a while, for a while. A friend gave it to me. I definitely didn't steal it.
Insight check.
Make an insight check.
Dirty 20.
He totally stole it. You're not sure from where, but it's stolen.
Let's just look at Hish and just be like,
We're here.
I want the coat.
And at that, he just, what? And Omen...
I ain't talking until I get the coat.
Omen, with his hands in front of his face, give him the coat. And Viari just like wide eyes looks just, what do you mean? And Omen, I can't demote you because you're already an intern, so give him the coat. And Viari just, come on, boss. I mean, come on. It's part of my aesthetic. I don't give a fuck about your aesthetic, Viari. Coat. Give. And he snaps and points at you, Hish. And at that, Viari just like head down, pulls off his coat, pulls off this robe, grabs it by the end and starts shaking it out. And you watch as just small baubles begin to fall out. You see a sack of ball bearings then spill out onto the ground. A very fancy looking dagger sticks in. You see that there is actually also like a small jade piece that kind of tumbles down onto the ground as well. And with a very deep sigh, here you go.
I take it and I take off the cloak I was wearing and I toss it at him. And I put his on.
He just sort of
winds up as you're like putting the coat on, and as soon as you like pull it tight, he just looks like he's taken an arrow to the head. Falls on the ground, sits up. Absolutely amazing, Hish. As always. That coat looks 10 times better on you than it did on him. Sorry my friend took your coat, but it does look good.
Thank you. And Hish does a little flex.
Ulman, make an insight check real quick.
Give me a... Why can't I find that word? 14.
As you go through the rigmarole of pretending to get hit in the head with an arrow, fall to the ground, come back up, and everyone seems to be cheering your performance, you see Jim Dark Magic get this really, like, sour look on his face and crosses his arms, and you see him mutter under his breath, "That's fun. Anybody could do that. I could do that. Nobody asked me to do it, but anybody could." And Omen says, with his hands still in front of his face, "You four cleared out everything except a hopeless amount of spiders, but if that truly is the case, then, well, we'll think of something to do with that room, because actually, and he looks over at Viari, and Viari just, oh, come on. And he's like, I know what's going to be your room. And he smiles a little bit and then looks back and says, at least to clean. But we have a job, an offering. It's like a training fair almost. And since you all have proven yourself strong enough and motivated enough to, well, take care of the haunted house, as your dear friend Ulman put, simply for the experience, then perhaps we could work something out, something that would be beneficial to all of us.
I would like to make something extremely clear. Omen did it for the experience. The rest of us did it for the cash.
I explicitly did it for the cash.
Jill especially did it for the cash.
I wasn't really clear about my motivations at the time. In another show, Arjan gets a nosebleed.
And at that, Omen just looks at you, Hish, looks at you, Jill. So, fiscal motivations? You like getting money?
Indeed.
You like getting things? We are in the business of getting things. We are Acquisitions Incorporated. Now, I can offer you all jobs where we can pay you handsomely, set you up regularly with work that will pay well, and should you be motivated enough to go out and collect things for us, we'll see that all of your needs are met. Now, experience, absolutely wonderful. Being motivated by fiscal things, incredible. Being motivated by not knowing your motivation, we have a few of those in the organization. It's okay. You would all do well here, I would feel. Just simply based off of this interview alone.
What wouldn't do well here is my question.
Do you prefer working alone instead of a team?
Depends on the work.
Typically, we have teams. We set up franchises places. So, we are looking to set up a Saltmarsh franchise. We've bought the house. We are going to be turning that into a base. You would then be operating out of it. You would accept jobs from head office, jobs that we would make sure reflect well on both head office as well as all of our employees. And we like to make it worth your while. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. What did you say your name was? And he points towards you, Jill.
Jilfa'en.
Jilfa'en, you look like somebody who has been having a time with your ink pot. Is this fair assumption? You have ink all over.
It's rude of you to point it out.
The what? It just like wipes another trail like on her face or something. Just be like,
You look like you have the trackings of a documancer in, well, at least on the outside. If that's not the role that you wish to fill, that's fine. But Acquisitions Incorporated, we do offer many notarized forms, as well as the submissal of many notarized forms, which you can then use to obtain things, such as, let's say, most mundane things. But if you're looking for something else, something less mundane, we can figure out a way for you to get that. We're doers here. We're big thinkers and doers.
And we would be doing things in service to you?
So we're the doers.
We're all doers. here. Everybody.
What are you doing, though?
Well, currently, hiring you. Are you familiar with the death curse? Ever hear about that? Tarask? Ever hear about that?
Heard about the Jurassic.
I've
Hacking?
been almost literally under a rock for a long time.
Underdark?
No, just lost in the woods.
Now, okay, you say you collect things. What do you do once you have the things?
He motions toward his airship.
Yes.
You're not saying a lot.
Weird
Looks like
flex,
it's-
but okay.
Looks like it's worth a lot of gold.
It is. Things that we like to do with our money? Open more business. Make sure that everybody can get exactly what they need. We're not just here. We're not just in Saltmarsh. We're in Waterdeep. We're in Cholt. We are in Daggerford. We are in Bryn Shandar. There's even there is a separate plane called Ravnica. Huge city. We're there too. Other planes? City of Doors, Sigil, Hack Inc. We are in the business of doing, regardless of what needs to be done. We're here. We're here to help benefit the business.
Cool speech. Question. Now, is this on a contract by contract basis, like job by job, or once we sort of sign up with you guys, are we like legally obligated?
Well, the interesting part about operating in Saltmarsh is that we are not currently under the legal jurisdiction of the Lord's Alliance, so I can't legally say that it's contractual. But at least anywhere else. So technically you would be considered a Acquisitions Incorporated member as soon as you sign on, and you would be for as long as you would wish to remain so. If you would like to then not be an AC Inc. member, you'll lose some of our benefits.
Which are?
We have, again, housing. We have items that we can give, knowledge, maps.
Right,
Anything.
right.
We'll put our best
Healthcare,
loremongers on.
I assume.
Healthcare?
Knowledge.
We can speak more about that at your orientation.
Got it. Well, I think I've heard all I can hear. You guys have any more questions?
Knowledge.
So much. So much. We have loremongers. They have some of these, and he reaches down behind the desk and he pulls out what looks to be a glass jar that has a tube kind of coming out of it that has a more conical ending. And he says, he pulls the tube up to his mouth and says, for all of you to hear, we look like we have 4 promising new hires. And sets it down. And then he motions for you to pick up the tube.
Would this function for me since I'm not a loremonger?
Because Omen is there, it will function just for this message. And as you bring the tube up to your ear, you hear him say, it looks like we have 4 potential new hires.
I mean, anybody can record a message.
And he touches the side of the jar again, and you hear a conversation that is being held between Viari and Jim, and As it plays, Omen looks at you dead in the face, but you can see that Viari is sweating bullets, and Jim is just wide broken smile on his face, and he is just laughing to himself as you hear a conversation that says, I don't know, she just she turned into a wolf person halfway through, and then she bit me, and she said that if I didn't tell her how to become a masked lord, then she was gonna tell Omen. And as it says that, Omen just says, luckily one of our lore mongers was there, and we were able to suss out that problem, weren't we, Viari? And Viari just kind of like
he's in the chat.
Scratches his head a little bit and just, I said I was sorry. And just, we don't know who the new vote is, but we'll find out who. We have information. Every loremonger is connected to, we'll call it a vault of whispers. And prove yourself worthy enough, and you can begin to hear other things, other conversations.
And we will be in service to you until
you find better work, but I guarantee you won't. Now,
Well,
the job, should you take it, is, I assume, rather easy, or would be. There was a team that was operating around here with a wild card license. They stopped actually reporting to our head office, and from what we've heard, are actually kind of causing a general ruckus near the Mire of Dead Men. We would simply need you to go out, show these individuals, these wildcard members, their current place in the totem pole, and then bring back their things, as they have defected from Mac Inc. but are trying to maintain their gear.
would you give us a second to discuss this before we agree?
Take all your time.
And I think Hish sort of motions everyone off to the side, out of hearing distance, or maybe within hearing distance. I don't know that Hish particularly cares. And he sort of looks at the three of you. Oh, what are we thinking?
I mean, we don't have a job currently. Sounds like the only real downside to quitting is losing whatever gear they deem theirs. But, you know, if they're paying us and we have a significant sum stashed away, that doesn't seem like such a bad thing. We can buy our own gear again.
My concern is that all of this sounds a little too good to be true.
I mean, I won't be able to say for sure whether it's a great deal or not till I see the fine print, but I don't know, even if it is too good to be true, it's at least work, and we can get some work out of them, and then head off and do something else.
I'm intrigued by the business model, I'll say. I like the I like the way that it seems strictly business, and I like that it's can be temporary, and those are things I like to align myself with, temporary business opportunities. So I'm not entirely opposed.
Okay.
I am very interested in the knowledge stores.
Ham says he really wants to eat the things that this money can buy us.
Well, I can't argue with that, Ham. And Hish turns on his heel. How about this, Omen? We'll do your first job as a trial. If we like it, we like the pay, we'll sign on. How does that sit with you?
Perfect. We'll call it on-the-job experience. Because I
But we will
guarantee-
be getting paid.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, I'd like to see the contract written up, and I'd like to read through that,
And
if
when
possible.
you say that you would like to see the contract written up, Omen raises a coy eyebrow at you and says, "Oh, we can write up some contracts." And you see him reach into a satchel at his side and pull out a stack of papers that he sets onto the table in front, and says, "This is what a level 4 documancer can do." And he pulls out a pen and just quickly begins scribing through. And you see that the pages almost begin to write themselves. As he begins to write, it seems like these forms are actually becoming in triplicate without him having to put forth the extra effort in order to do so. Very quickly, he seems to draft up these temp worker contracts. Thankfully, there is no NDA agreement that you would have to sign that would require him to write several more pages. But it does end up coming out after possibly only 5 minutes. Just a stack of 15 pages each for you to look over.
I like that a lot, actually. And she'll take it and start to, like, peruse it and see if anything sticks out as weird.
Okay. And before you do, he says, "What were you trying to draft?" "I'm on a hot streak. I'm on a hot streak right now. What were you trying to do?"
Are you... Do you have any experience in maritime dealings? Like contract work for ships?
We have offices in Cholt. It's a port city.
Right. I'll need one of those. Particularly, like, with some, like, religious clauses, about what services
Standard
there
stuff.
can offer. Oh,
Standard.
yeah. No, okay.
And you see he says, "I don't even have to try and write that one up." And he pulls out a tube and kind of pops one end of it, reaches in, and he pulls out a document that is roughly about 10 pages long and has everything that you actually requested, as well as more than that. It seems like there in this document are also dealings for if after your last dealing with a ship, any interaction with the ship that ends up causing them to break while out at sea, you are then found non-liable and in a court of law as being under the jurisdiction of Acquisitions Incorporated. They would put their best lawyers and plaintiffs on the case in order to defend you should this end up befalling you.
I really like that. That's...
Documentsy, baby. And he clicks a pen that he has and sets it back down.
All right. This looks good. This looks good, everyone. This looks good.
I think Ulman is, like, looking at the page really hard, but he hasn't, like, actually flipped through any of it. Is this even common?
And
Well, yes.
Ulman looks at it and says, "Common. We have subclauses for Elven, Dwarven, anything else that you would possibly speak or need to be able to read into. We can, if it's easier, we can form contracts in that for you."
I meant that I don't understand a word on this page. Like, I can read it. They're all words, but I have no clue what I'm signing.
And Jim just says, "Nobody ever reads the fine print on things. I didn't read it and I turned out fine. Except for the clone." And he just kind of shoots Omen a look and says, "We dealt with the clone. It was fine." It's just all really simple stuff. Real simple stuff. Basically, if you die or are injured on the job, Acquisitions Incorporated is not going to be liable and probably isn't going to be paying for your medical coverage because, again, you are a temporary worker. We can talk more about medical, dental, all of that sort of thing once you get hired on full time. But as a temporary worker, we'll do our best to pay you out accordingly for the job that you were able to do. If you were able to complete the job to a 100% satisfaction rating, which is what we here at Acquisitions Incorporated stand by, then of course we would be able to pay you. And in this situation, we would be paying you with, well, control over a franchise. I understand that, again, some of you are fiscally motivated. I would offer you more, but someone spent a little bit more on the house than they were supposed to. And Viari at this point is just kind of picking his stuff up off of the ground, cradling it to his chest. Like I said, I was sorry. And he says, $250 each upon job's completion.
300.
And he looks at you. $275.
Deal.
Wet looking one.
I was just gonna say, like, Albus is actually gonna go through this contract. Can I make an insight check using my intelligence modifier? It's not great. It's not great at all. That's 7.
Okay. So as you were getting through it and Ulman starts saying...
So I'm going to get a migraine in the middle of this, and this has actually happened to me. I'm going to get a blind spot, so I can literally only read one word at a time. Like, just to the left of me is just, like, completely blurred.
Oh,
or
yeah.
just to the right of the page. It's completely blurred. So I can literally only read this one word at a time. That actually happened to me. True story.
Nice and
while I was taking a standardized test.
Oh, no.
No.
Oh. All right. So, yeah, as you're reading through it, Ulman was right. There are words in here that you know are common, but they seem like older common that's just not really used that much. It's more of like a flouncier kind of speak. Some of you might call this legalese, as kind of looking at it, you're not like your context clues, you're getting what it's hinting at. But all things considered, it does look like a pretty outstanding document. And it says that on completion of the job, you will be awarded 250 gold pieces, and should you choose, will become a member in good standing of Acquisitions Incorporated Saltmarsh branch.
Hish crosses out 250 and writes 275.
Okay. And you see Omen then looks at what you did and just sees that you're kind of like covering over bits of his documancy, but he doesn't really betray more emotion than that. And then says 275 is a deal. So
do I have to make the change on my page too, or is our verbal agreement solid?
I'll take care of it. I'll make sure that it gets taken care of by competent people. And he just kind of like shoots another glance at Viari real quick. And then says, we have heard rumors that this wildcard team is located to the south of this place, roughly about 8 miles, Mire of Dead Men. They're on the outskirts. They've been causing a ruckus, just acting as general highwaymen. That's not the style of acquisitioning that we are supportive of here. It doesn't reflect well on the branch. So if you all could go and possibly take care of this, that's the job.
How so?
We're doers here, Albus. How you go about completing the job is up to you.
Are you suggesting murder?
And he just sort of gives you a gentle shrug.
Oh. Okay. Just glad that we're on the same page.
I'll find that we are.
Is there anything weird about the signature? If we sign it?
You see that as your signature is put onto the page, there is a faint glow of magic that goes over it. And then as you put your finger down back where the magical effect happened, the ink is dried. And it looks like it has actually like ingrained itself into the actual page itself, almost like a lamination.
Is it Albus or is it my true name?
It is Albus. It is the name that you have written.
Okay.
Jilfa'en just writes Jilfa'en, no last name.
Okay.
I write Omen Dark, and then I like look up at them for a second and put the pen down.
And Omen then takes all of your documents, kind of sets them on the table, making a very nice shuffling noise, and then says, I'll see that everything is in order. I believe you're going to be in need of a cart, or are you more of a on-foot kind of crew?
Well, we have a ship.
Novel. Makes things much easier. But
if you're offering a cart.
Do you have a crew?
No.
You're looking at it.
We have one.
Acquisition.
Where's Oceana's been?
He's just
We
been.
rescued him. We're not.
He's.
Are we just conscripting him?
He will say, for the sake of brevity, that he was on the ship throughout most of this, and you guys see him now coming up behind the four of you as you are all finishing signing documents. And he just says, Friends, there, behold this marvel! And he kind of, motions towards this large airship, and Omen just sort of looks at him, and Jim elbows Omen and says, don't worry, I got this one. And then you see Jim walks towards Oceanus, says, behold! And you see doves just shoot out of the sleeves of his hands. He says, welcome, traveler, to Acquisitions Incorporated. I see that you are weary, perhaps looking for a job. Maybe you aren't from around here. And as he does, you see magic kind of coming off of his fingers. And he says, but I'm sure you know who I am. I am Jim Dark Magic of the New Hampshire Dark Magics. And Oceanus just looks very confused. And then, you're James Winifred Dark Magic III, aren't you? He got a nat 20 on his history check. And at that, Jim bows and says, the very same. Did you know? Myself, Omen included, and Viari. And when he says and Viari, Oceanus brings his hands up over his mouth and says, the intern success story. And just looks very, very excited that Viari is there. Even though Viari looks very dejected and bored, kind of sad, holding all of his things in his new cloak because Hish took his old one. And he says, Viari is here as well. How would you like to join Acquisitions Incorporated? And gives him just a, like a really crooked grin shoots across Jim's face. And Oceanus says, I never thought that I would have this opportunity. Yes, 1,000 times yes, good sir. And Omen, looks like we have another experience-driven individual. Excellent, I'll pull up a contract. And he reaches in to his satchel, draws up another contract, and looks at him and says, you seem office material. And Oceanus just, head office material? And Omen just, no. Home base for here. Are you familiar what a secretarian does, Oceanus? And Oceanus says, I've heard rumors. I believe that it was started by your daughter? And he just kind of like looks a little quizzically, and Omen nods and says, I didn't think that we needed one at the beginning, to be honest, but she proved me wrong. You seem nice. You seem like people generally enjoy your presence. How would you like to be your secretarian for this branch? And Oceanus just, it would be my honor, Lord Drawn. And he bows, extending his hand out. And Jim, you just see, just giving a nice, like, fucking nailed it. Like, yeah, go me. And after the...
feel as nice, or maybe it should make me feel more nice that he bowed to me in the same way on the ship.
And at that, Oceanus finishes his paperwork. And Omen says, we're going to be clearing out the house that's a couple miles around from here. Stick around. You can help us out with that one. And at that, Oceanus's eyes get wide. Just, I get to help out the Jim Dark Magic? And Jim just says, oh, you're going to be doing more than helping, buddy. And just kind of like gives him a thumbs up. And Oceanus is super on board for this. And then he ends up looking at the four of you and says, did you all join as well?
We did. We are on a trial basis, but yes, we sort of.
Temporary contract work.
Incredible. Absolutely incredible. Not only were we able to sail on the same ship, but now we can say, dare I say it, we were co-workers for even just a moment.
You could say that and it would be true.
I don't know what this word implies. You seem to have more context to it.
We have heard the tales, deep below the sea, of Acquisitions Incorporated. I've wanted nothing more for the last 15 years to leave the sea and join them, but I couldn't go to Waterdeep. Look at me. If they are opening a place here, near my home, the commute will be absolutely incredible. I could go see my family and go to work, and then go home at the end of the day. It's everything I could have ever wanted.
And as he's saying that, Omen is just, particularly driven. And writes that down on a document.
I'm thrilled that you're thrilled, buddy. I'm very glad that this has all worked out for you. And I'm very, very glad that we'll be seeing you around.
I agree. It'll be great to have you around. kind of assumed you'd be staying on the ship with us when we did that, so this is basically the same thing.
So that's the crew. That's everybody who is on our crew.
That was the crew, yeah.
And at that, Omen furrows his brows a little bit and says, full-time employee, full-time hirelings. Come with us, we'll fix you up with a crew. Quality men. Or women. Both.
Still on a contractual basis.
Well, we'll make sure that their contract lasts as long as yours do. However, they will still be ACK Inc. employees even if you decide that you are no longer an employee. So, if you quit, you'll have to find your own crew.
Works for me.
Until then, welcome aboard. And Jim just says, I really can't wait to get to know you more, Oceanus. And he kind of like is tapping Oceanus's hand, and he just, Oceanus, but yes, thank you, Jim. Just don't worry. And he, you see him pull out a pen. And he pulls out it looks like a picture of Jim, and he writes on it, and then hands it to Oceanus, and he looks at it and just, a signed autograph. And Jim says, yep, to my #1 fan. And Omen just shakes his head. And then looks at the four of you and says, we'll get you a cart.
I'll take a cart.
Much appreciated.
And with that, Jim ends up casting a spell to the local stable hand, letting them know everything that's going down and that they are going to be charging ACK Inc. with your guys' carriage. You end up getting down there, and without really much issue, you are given a small cart and a kind of older looking horse that doesn't seem to... it's not spry by any means, but it gets the job done. And
what's the horse's name?
The horse's name is... We'll say it's Chrysanthemum.
Okay. I'm going to call him Chris for short.
So, yeah, you guys managed to get in your cart and begin making your way south to the Mire of Dead Men. And it takes a couple hours, all things considered, to kind of get to the edge of the bog. And from what you had heard from the ACK Inc. members, you know that the wild card operators are actually lurking deeper within. And so with a gentle hya, you and Chris, your draft horse, make your way in. And you are about 30 minutes into the mire when you see that there is what looks to be an overturned cart kind of on the side of the road. And there is a human man who is currently just trying to move it.
I'll like jump out of the cart.
And
Yeah, Ulman will tug on Chris's reins to slow down and stop, so Albus doesn't lose his 9 hit points jumping out of the cart.
Okay.
No one else is acting.
Sounds good. So, as Albus, you make your way up, this individual says,
Oh, good heavens, thank you, sir. My cart broke down. I was trying to head south, down to Neverwinter. I was wondering if you could.
Can I insight check?
yeah, you can insight check him.
I think as they're talking, I like step down from the cart and
14.
like stand intimidatingly behind Albus.
Okay, so you got a 14. This individual is a very bad liar. As you see that he actually has a small little Ak Ink piece of livery that he's wearing underneath a otherwise leather kind of vest.
Oh, you poor, poor person. You're such a horrible, horrible liar.
What? And at that, you see, you actually hear a cry out from the trees and surrounding areas of one individual who calls out and says, "He's not what he appears to be! Get the fuck back!" And you watch as 4 other individuals then come out of the woods surrounding you guys at the cart, as the individual Albus that you had called out ends up taking a little bit of a step back from you. I would like for everybody to roll into initiative.
I want to step in front of Albus as quickly as possible.
Protect.
11
Oh,
for Hish.
17.
10.
I also got a 10.
Dex
bad.
is 2.
okay.
Yeah, mine's 4.
10. Hish, what'd you get?
11.
Okay, and Ulman, what'd you get?
17.
Okay, sounds good. So, then, boop, boop. I am doing all of that wrong for trying to keep track of things.
Nothing like having your dashing personality add to your initiative in combat.
Yeah, because you chose the swashbuckler, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Hell yeah.
Yes.
Love me a swashbuckler.
Okay, so
Buckle that swash.
you guys watch as the individuals coming out of the woods, the human male that was trying to push his cart that Albus then confronted is currently kind of backing up a little bit. But you also see that in the shade of this of the woods is what looks like a gray-skinned individual who's about the size of a gnome, with these very thick-looking mutton chops, and he has a hooked staff on one end, and he just seems to kind of be on the lookout a little bit. There is another gray-skinned individual, more of like closer to a dwarven make, that has a white mohawk. And you can see that they also have what looks to be a rather large sword on their back. And then you see a kobold. And this kobold has a very large cage on its back that looks like it has a skunk inside of it, as well as several bags that are kind of strapped to its side. And one of these bags looks like it has a tongue that is kind of sticking out of it, but it is more like a fabric stylized tongue for this bag. You aren't really sure what that exactly entails. And then you also see that there is a half-elven woman with a bow who has currently approached you guys. So, starting at the top of the round is actually going to be this individual that was right on you, Ulman, or right on you, Albus. And he is going to draw a mace from his side, and he is going to try and take several strikes against you. So, his first strike at you is going to be 12. Doesn't hit. Okay, second hit for a 19 to hit.
Yep.
And then he is going to deal 7 points of bludgeoning damage to you.
I'm still up.
Okay. Then next up is Ulman. And you've just watched Albus get clocked in the chest from this mace.
I think I put my hand on Albus's shoulder and just pull him behind me. And then as I pull my hand away, rather than going for my dagger, a basically just metal baseball bat begins to like push its way out of my hand. And I grab onto the base effectively as a light hammer, and I swing it at the guy.
Okay. Make an attack roll.
What? What?
Does 17 hit?
Oh yeah, definitely hits. Roll for damage.
Oh right, sneak attack is 2d6 now. I have to remember that.
Yeah. Yeah, and looking like in this initial burst of all of them kind of jumping out, you see that all of them do have this Ak Ink regalia on them.
That's 19 damage.
Ooh.
I rolled almost max.
Okay. Yeah, so are you just clocking him upside the head?
Yeah, I'm just looking to knock this guy straight out.
Oh yeah, no, he takes the brunt of that damage, and you actually hear the cracking sound as the majority of teeth on that side of his face end up just kind of getting broken. And he actually spits out just a mouthful of these little white bits as you have clocked him in the side of the face. But he kind of rears back. Oh my god, what the fuck?
There's also that satisfying metal, like...
Oh yeah, most certainly. This is the batting cages for Ulman. Then next up is the gray-skinned individual that has the mohawk. And looking at your guys' cart, they are going to look at it, and you see them bring their fists together, and they just start punching them together over and over and over again. But as they do with each rhythmic punch, you see their body actually grow larger and larger and larger until standing before you is this 9-foot tall dwarf. And that is all that it can do for its turn, but it is going to move up next to the cart and actually grabs underneath the bottom part of your guys' cart. Then next up is going to be Hish.
Yeah, so I'm still in the cart.
Yeah, and this biggin just walked over and began to move it.
So I'd like to walk to the back of the cart where that individual is picking it up. And I'd like to take my scimitar and just stab down at them.
Sounds good.
Right in the shoulder. That's 17.
That is just enough to hit. Roll for damage.
Off. 8 damage.
Okay. Sounds good. And it this figure lets out a very deep as you stab into the fingers.
Can I do a superiority dice move after I've rolled damage, or do I have to do it before I roll damage?
It is after you've succeeded with an attack, so if you would like to do a superiority die, you can. Moving forward, though, do them before you find out if the creature drops or not, though.
Okay.
Yeah, that's it. That's my only rule with superiority die. Other than that, I don't fucking care. Use them. Get stabby.
Okay, I'll save it till the next one.
Okay, sounds good. So then next up is going to be Albus and Jill.
Okay. So this dude is grabbing onto this cart about to and trying to flip it over. I think at this point Jill's just gonna be like, oh no. And I think she's going to hold out her hand, and it's going to, like, the back of it's going to glow, like, really brightly. And I would like to use one of my, what's the name of it? I would like to use the Headwinds feature that I have to cast Gust of Wind.
Okay.
directly at this big old boy.
Okay.
So that's a strength saving throw.
They get a 19 on the strength save.
Okay, well that didn't do what I wanted to, but so they don't get pushed back, but you know, everything else that's in this line of wind that's 60 feet long and 10 feet wide may get blasted back.
You see the little kobold that was behind that had all the stuff on his back actually gets sent backwards. And he lands prone on his back, but as he does, you hear a crunching noise followed by a tiny "oh no."
Yeah, that's all I can do at the moment.
Okay. So then next up, Albus.
Does anybody look particularly unhurt?
Particularly unhurt is the kobold who hasn't taken any damage but got knocked back. The half elf that has the bow drawn, and the small gnomish looking individual.
Okay.
He just seems to kind of just be like chattering to himself, like he's like aggressively grinding his teeth, looking at you.
The gnome.
The gnome looking fellow, yes. Just...
Okay. Okay. I'm gonna make an attack at him. First off, Ulman, take some galaxy brain. I'm gonna attack the gnome. Does a 13 hit?
A 13 just hits. Roll for damage.
Okay. So what you see is Albus just sort of like bring his arm back, and as he like brings it back forward toward the gnome, this like sort of spectral tentacle reaches toward this gnome and wraps around it. The spell I have cast is Ray of Sickness at 2nd level. And sorry, I should have said it was at 2nd level before you said it hit. I would like him to take 11 points of necrotic damage. Sorry, poison damage.
Your beam goes out, and this tentacle just lashes around this individual, and kind of wraps him up very quickly. And you see that necrotic energy, right? Or were you doing poison?
Poison.
That poison energy you watch just forcibly seeps its way into this individual, whose face then goes from a gray to a very deep purple, and his cheeks kind of puff up a bit, and he collapses down onto the ground, no longer moving.
Okay. So he does not have to make a Constitution saving throw since he is dead.
He's super dead. Next up is going to be, well, it would have been that guy, but he is no more. You see that the scout, actually looking at you, Albus, adjusts a eyeglass that they are wearing on their face and just sort of twists it a little bit, looking at you, and then their face goes white. And you see them mutter a phrase under their breath. The rest of you can actually make a perception check to try and read this individual's lips if you would like.
13.
22.
19.
So Hish and Jill, both of you see this individual mouth the word aboleth to itself as it just looks at Albus after kind of skewing its eyeglass, and then pulls back with an arrow and is going to try and shoot at you, Albus. And it's going to use a longbow. That's a 4 on the die, so that's not going to hit against you. And then the second attack is going to be a 15.
I would like to use a reaction.
Okay.
Would like to cast the spell Shield.
Okay. So this arrow is flying
Multiclassing
towards
was a great option, guys.
yeah. All right. So what does your shield look like? Are you just kind of like standing there and then
so that same tentacle that reached around it, he waves his hand again, and this spectral tentacle just sort of like swats the arrow away.
Okay. Tentacle monk. I like it. So that was it for his turn, and you see this kobold is going to scrabble away from the spot where he was at. As you see, there's this mound of centipedes that are currently underneath him that just sort of seem to be writhing a little bit, and he just had him in a box. He doesn't know how to control him at all. But then looking at your group, he reaches into the large bag that he has on his back and pulls out a small vial and actually throws it towards you, Hish. So that is going to be a 11 to hit.
Yep.
All right.
Didn't you pick up armor on the ship?
Nope.
We had a scene where I gave you armor.
On the ship, you had looted chainmail off of somebody. It was while you were
I
still
never put it
absent.
on.
But yes, so you have chainmail.
Listen, I'll put that in later.
Okay.
I think chainmail has like a base AC of 16.
Yeah. So chainmail. If you were wearing your chainmail, this would not hit you. But if you don't want to be wearing your chainmail, I'm not gonna make you.
I'll be wearing my chainmail next time.
Okay. So you are going to be taking 2 points of fire damage as this bottle hits against you and actually just erupts in flames, catching your clothing on fire. And it seems like as you are trying to bat it out, it seems almost like it is more of like a sticky tar, where as you're trying to bat it away, it is just kind of scooching down the rest of your clothing. It is getting dangerously close to your fancy new green cloak that you had just received from Viari. Next up is the top of the round with the Human that was near you, Albus. And Ulman, you have just smashed his face in with a baseball bat, so he is going to try and smash yours. That is an 8 to hit, and then that is an 11. So he does neither of the things that he wanted to. Then next up is you, Ulman.
I just whip back around and bring the bat around the other side of his head.
Okay, make an attack roll.
20.
Oh yeah,
30.
that'll hit. Roll for damage. And is this subdual, or are you just looking to...
This is subdual.
Okay.
$15.
Okay, so 15 with subdual. You crack the other side of his head with your bat, and again you hear that crunching sound of teeth breaking. And as he kind of like rolls back, just you see that he only has his bottom front teeth and his front top teeth as well, giving him almost like a beaver kind of mouth. As the rest of his teeth seem to have broken, and he just rears back and falls down onto the ground, no longer moving. Then next up is going to be this very, very large dwarf who is going to look at you, Hish, and rears back with this very, it looks like a sword, but in this creature's hands now, it looks more like a dagger, and they are going to try and stab down towards you. So that is a 19 to hit.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah. All right, and then that is going to be for 14 points of piercing damage.
Fun.
All right, and that is it for its turn. It just it switched from trying to lift this cart to then just attacking the people in it. seeing as how 2 of its friends have gone down. Then next up is going to be Hish.
I'd like to hit the same guy
Okay.
with my scimitar. That is a 9 plus 7. I'm bad at math.
That's a 16. That's exactly what you needed.
Yes, yay. And I'd like to use a superiority die to do a... Where is it? It's my first time doing this. Do a distracting strike.
Okay.
So I think Hish is actually jumping off of the cart, not like at anything particularly fancy, but like jumping and trying to get his attention as he's slashing across this giant dwarf.
Yeah.
And trying to keep his focus on him and getting like his back turned towards everybody else.
Okay.
And that gives whoever hits him next advantage before the start of my next turn.
You are also going to be taking 2 more points of fire damage as, again, your clothes have this more of like sticky tar fire on them.
We'll get to that. 13 damage.
Okay. Sounds good. So yeah, this creature lets out a yelp as you strike out against it, having suffered the damage.
I have to roll my superiority die, which is 1.
Okay. Sounds good. Then next up is Jill.
Okay. She's gonna be like, sorry, Hish, just hopefully don't... Just hold still for this. As a bonus action, I'm going to turn the gust of wind to where it's facing Hish. So it'll blow out the fire. You just gotta make a strength saving throw.
Let's do it, baby. I'm ready.
I know the law.
Oh, wait, fuck. Wait, saving throw?
Yeah.
13.
You're solid. Okay, so you don't get pushed back and your fire gets extinguished.
Nice.
But with my action, while this big dwarf's back is turned, I would like to like I think one hand is like the shiny hand is redirecting the gust of wind, but the other hand is gonna like start to like bubble and burn with necrotic energy as I reach out with and inflict wounds.
Okay.
2 dice, cause advantage. Let's see. 22?
22 will hit. Roll for damage.
Sweet. What is
It's like
the damage on this? There it is.
3d8 or some shit like that.
3d10. Big boy damage.
How many times did you kill Albus with that? 3? If you rolled max, it'd be a dead Albus 3 times.
Did not roll enough to kill. Well, actually, yeah, that's 12 points of necrotic damage.
That is exactly enough. So so you reach out with your necrotic hand, and as you like touch against his back, where are you putting the pats on?
I mean, this dude's like 9 feet tall. I guess wherever I could reach.
Just slap some dwarf cheeks. It's a big, like his ass is definitely like the most reachable large thing that you can see. So with this necrotic slap, his back just goes rigid while facing against you, Hish, and you watch as just these dark necrotic lines shoot up his neck and then kind of wrap under the chin and just as this figure falls and drops to the side. The kobold is able to scramble out of the way just in time as this large body tumbles to the ground, and then as it lays there in the dirt, you see it begin to shrink down back into a more regular dwarf size. Albus, what would you like to do?
I'm going to look at the scout, who I need to make a wisdom save.
Okay. The scout got a 18 on their wisdom.
Well, she's a duty head, but sorry, I did it again. Dissonant Whispers at 2nd level.
Okay.
8, 13 half, 13 half to 6 points of psychic damage.
All right. And this creature just kind of like grabs at their, this figure grabs at her head while you cast these dissonant whispers. You do not have it.
Secrets were not meant for you.
Okay. Then next up is this figure, and they are going to look at you and just shake their head, and they are going to try and take another shot at you with their longbow. That is a 7 to hit, so that's not going to be the case. And then a 11.
Okay, neither of those hit.
Okay. And you see them kind of turn, and they are going to try and start running away, seeing as how this is going poorly for them. So then next up are the kobold is kind of like reaching into his bag as you watch this mound of centipedes actually crawl towards him, the same bugs that he had broken open when he had fallen on his back, and they are going to be attacking him. And they succeed. So you watch as these centipedes just start crawling onto this kobold, and it begins to shriek loudly. And it says, "Cap no like! Cap no like!" as it's just trying to like bat these centipedes away from it. And it takes 7 points of damage. So then it is his turn, and he is going to pull out a dagger and just start trying to stab the centipedes off of himself, and is able to do so. Not all of them, but he does get a pretty good number of them on the edge of his dagger. So that is that creature's turn. So then next up is going to be Ulman at the top of the round.
I quickly pull my dagger from my belt, and I look at the one who's running, and I'm like, when you're beaten, you're supposed to give up. And I want to chuck it at, like, the back of his thigh.
Okay. Yeah, I'll say that you're within throwing distance of this. Make an attack.
Uh, 21.
Yeah, that'll hit. Roll for damage.
Doesn't have sneak attack, correct?
With your swashbuckler, is that when you're engaged with somebody?
When we are engaged, I don't think I get that till next level swashbuckler, though, because I can't find it on my page.
Yeah, I think it's like whenever you are engaged with someone by yourself.
Got it. Yeah, so you would...
I think you have
I think
to
it would be melee.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, so you're just going to get the regular damage off of a throwing dagger on this one.
That'll be 7.
Okay, that is actually enough. They were very low after Albus's mental assault. So as the dagger sinks into their thigh, they collapse down onto the ground. Were you doing subdual damage yet again?
If possible, yeah.
Okay, yeah, no. Totally available. So as the blade sinks into the back of their thigh, they just collapse down onto the ground, no longer capable of moving. And they just seem to be just kind of like trying to crawl away, but to no real avail.
And I want to point at the kobold and say, surrender!
The kobold is currently just screaming, stabbing at bugs on itself.
Yeah, close enough.
All right, so next up is Hish.
As a free action, can I just walk up and slap the kobold across the face?
I'll say yes.
Okay, I'd like to slap him across the face, and kind of grab his collar a little bit and say, I'm going to give you one chance to take off all of your things, leave them here, or my friend is going to kick your pass. I'd like to intimidate him.
Make an intimidation check with advantage.
Which friend?
All of them.
Vaguely pointing towards
Behind.
all of
Chrysanthemum.
the friends. Oh, I got 215.
Okay.
Plus 3.
All right. So
17.
yeah, he seems plenty terrified of you, and like he will most likely be following your course of action on his turn. Next up is Jill and Albus.
I think seeing most of the trouble taken care of at this point, Jill will hop out of the cart, go over to Albus and just like place a hand on his shoulder and dump a cure wounds into old boy.
Okay.
Well, it's about time you got here.
Let me do other things besides heal you. This is I got 11 hit points, which is more than you need.
I want to investigate the scout
Okay.
and see what their monocle was.
All right. Sounds good. So I think with that, we will do the investigation and the follow-up of all of this next week. As on the Kobold's turn, he just sort of like shrinks into himself and slips out of the gear that he was wearing down onto the ground, looks up at you, Hish, and just bolts into the woods. And that is the last that you guys will probably see of Kjarp the Kobold.
Are we not killing him?
He was running. Hish
I wasn't
said to
gonna
run.
kill
Can I knock him out?
Yeah, you can totally knock him out.
My understanding was they wanted these people. Ulman's understanding was they wanted these people.
I think they
So,
wanted the stuff.
That's probably what they wanted, but Ulman thinks they want the people, so he's gonna bring them back for their just desserts.
All right, so you guys, we will start off next round with you guys having 3 hostages and Albus going to inspect what the deal with this scout was. But with that, I would like to say thank you guys for coming out and playing this game. I love Saltmarsh. I love Saltmarsh so much. This is going to be a great session. Thank you to all of these wonderful players. Thank you to everybody who decided to stop by. I always like seeing new people. And thank you to M3J3M5 for the follow. If that spells out something like Majims, like if you're using Leet Speak, tell me how to pronounce it. I don't know what this is. But with that, let's do our sign off. So, Dingo, where can we find you? What do you do?
You can find me on Twitter at WheresMyDingus. I do a lot of tabletop RPGs all over the internet, mostly on Katie's channel at twitch.tv/katieface. So Mondays and Tuesdays I am there playing Monster of the Week and Masks. Wednesdays I will also be occasionally on twitch.tv/katieface, KATYFAISE, because it sounds like a different spelling. But I will also be there occasionally on Wednesdays. She's running a Summer of Spooks, which is a bunch of one-shots, all very horror and spooky and great. So that's going on right now. Thursdays I am here, and then Fridays you can find me on twitch.tv/off_the-table for Urban Shadows Sanguahona the Claiming, which is some very good cowboy Urban Shadows. Awesome.
Excellent. And Reeves, where can we find you? What do you do?
You can find me at my house most of the time. Also at work. Oh wait, hold on. Sorry. You can find me at Twitter at ReevesBot. You can also find me on Twitch at the same name, also as Reeves_bot. I'm here on Thursdays playing in this game. Otherwise, I use a stream as an excuse to schedule social time with my friends because it makes it easier to hang out with them. On Wednesdays, I am trying to play through my entire Steam library, which will take me years, 3 games at a time, an hour each, with a rotating host who chooses all 3 for me. And then on Sundays, I'm currently doing a Divinity 2 playthrough with some friends of mine.
Nice. Cyber, where can we find you? What do you do?
Hi, I'm Cyber. I I'm a shitposter on Twitter at CyberWolf1201. You can see me tweet awful things, and sometimes you can see whenever I tweet whenever I go live on twitch.tv/CyberWolf1201. This Saturday, I have to remove my stream up a couple of hours for social accommodations, but I will be not finding out any lore. No lore, just Baba. We will be playing Baba is you, and I'll be Baba is you, and you too. Baba is all of us. There is no lore. There is only Baba. But it's going to be a good time. It's a real cute game. I'm real excited to play it. Yeah, the archives of that go up to a YouTube channel. It has a very gobbledygook URL right now. So consider going to that Twitch and finding that YouTube's and subscribing so I can get a better URL. You can also find a podcast that KyleWithAnN I do there called Let's Talk About It, where we get drunk, talk about the RPGs that we've been playing in, and some other stuff, do a little bit of parkour, and yeah, we talk about stuff. Just uploaded another episode Tuesday, 2 days ago, where we talked about the Descent stream. I know it was a while ago. It just took me a long time to edit. But for RPG stuff, like the game that you saw today, you could find me here today on Thursdays. Congratulations, you found it. But you can also find me here on Mondays, where I play Arshan, the Dragonborn Blood Hunter / Cleric. It's a good time.
Yes.
But yeah, that's me.
All right, and Kylan, where can we find you? What do you do?
Hi everyone, I am KyleWithAnN, otherwise known as KyleWithAnN. You can see me stream on Twitch. Right now I'm playing through Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney. Having a lovely time of it. And to see when I go live on that Twitch, you can follow me on Twitter under the same name. Let's see, other things I am in currently. Monday nights, 8:30 p.m. EST. I'm over on Katie Face's channel at Dingo playing Monster of the Week. I'll also be in Summer of Spooks a few days, so you'll hear about that closer to time. And that's about it for me right now, actually. So listen to the new episode of Let's Talk About It. You can find it on YouTube, or you can find it through Anchor.fm and iTunes and all the other podcasty bits. So, yeah, thanks, guys.
Yes, and if you have made it here this far, you probably already know who I am, but if you don't, hey buddy, how's it going? It's me, your pal, your friend, the Indoor Adventurer, the showrunner here at twitch.tv/Indoor Adventures, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. That is when we do all of our streams. We have a homebrew game on Mondays. We have our Curse of Strahd game on Tuesdays. My character is growing horns, and I don't know why, and I'm scared, but I'm so excited. Wednesdays, we have our one-shot Wednesdays, which I am in the process of rescoping a little bit, because I know that everybody loves doing one-shots, but themes would probably help people if also we did like a spooky month, or if we had a month where it was solely games where you played as like animals or something, so that way we could play games like Mouse Guard, Humblewood. Looking at you, Power Outage, because we could be animals there. I'm not gonna judge. And just do one-shots kind of based on a general theme that we could decide upon as the community. And then Thursdays, that's this game. That's Ghosts of Saltmarsh, which I am very excited week after week to be able to play. With that, we also have a Patreon set up for our after show called Nights in the Courtyard. So if you go to patreon.com/Indoor Adventures, you can go and check us out there, as well as gain access to our Discord server, which you don't have to go to Patreon in order to do that. If you just go to this Discord link in the chat below.
With that is our show. So I'd like to say again, thank you to all these wonderful players for making the time commitment to play this awesome game every week, and thank you to all of you people who decided to stop by and enjoy the show, because that means a hell of a lot. And we will see you guys next time. All right, everybody. Bye-bye! I need to hit the button!